Today on TOKKANTE, after a long while away, I'm finally unveiling my latest watch acquisition, which is not, as you can see, the Sinn U50, and it's not the Tudor Pelagos LHD either, it is the Tudor Pelagos FXD. So I'll say a few words about the collaboration between the Marine Nationale and Tudor, and then I'll go over what's good about the watch, and there's a lot of good, and then I'll go over what maybe I would change or maybe I would improve or do differently about it. Hi guys, so in case you forgot me while I was away, I'm Ben and I'm back with the FXD. So it's been about 3 months now that I started my new job and I passed probation, so I had to reward myself. And during this whole time I was still thinking about the U50 and the Pelagos LHD, and one of you viewers actually put a comment in my video comparing the U50 and the LHD, saying that the perfect watch for me actually was the FXD because I like no date, etc, etc. And you know, that started something, and I started thinking about it and researching it and watching videos and reading watch forums and watch you seek, etc. And then it grew on me more and more and more. And in the end, as you can see here, I ended up with the FXD, which is kind of a surprise maybe to some of you. So, I'm not going to go into the whole history of the Marine Nationale and Tudor, very popular in the 70s up to maybe 1984. I just want to talk about the modern collaboration between the Marine Nationale and Tudor. So, ID Guy made a very good video that just came out last week. So I'm not making this one just because he made his, but it just turned up that we bought the same watch and we are coming up with the video at a similar time. But go watch his video because I agree with most of his points. I just want to add a few things maybe to it. So first about the modern collaboration, it is not exactly clear whether it is Tudor that approached the Marine Nationale and proposed to make a new watch for them, in which case I think it would be more of a commercial kind of endeavor and more driven by marketing, or it is the Marine Nationale that actually approached Tudor and requested them to create a new watch for them. So, it's not the same thing, right? If the Marine Nationale asked for it, then this is a true mil-spec watch. But if it's Tudor that proposed it, then it's more of a marketing commercial thing. But at the end of the day, anyway, we ended up with a collaboration between Tudor and the Marine Nationale. Now, another question is whether this watch is actually issued to the personnel of the Marine Nationale or not. So, as ID Guy also mentioned, it is not actually issued to all of the personnel of Marine Nationale, except to those who actually work in the Commando Hubert, which is the elite commando that this watch was made for. So the other, employees or I guess member of the Marine Nationale, they actually have to buy it. And I've seen receipts online that they actually have to buy it. So this is not an mil-spec issued watch to all the members of the Marine Nationale. The other point is whether they have 2 lines or 4 lines on the dial. So same thing, I've seen online like people in watch forums say, oh, this is not really a mil-spec watch because the real one has 2 lines, and that's the one that's really collectible. And then the 4 lines is just a commercial version, and so this one will never really be the one that collectors will look for in the future. Well, actually the 4 lines is also used by the Commando Hubert. There's a video in French. I'll link it in the description below. ID Guy also put snippet of it in his video, doing a review of the FXD with actual personnel from the Commando Hubert, and you can see that their own watch is the 4-line version. So they do use both the 4-line and the 2-line. So I don't know actually, who gets to get the 2-line. How do you, maybe the ones that buy it get the 2-line. There's also a version with a crown on the left. So, maybe if you choose the crown on the left and then you get the 2-line because it's a special version. But, personnel from Commando Hubert also use the 4-line. So this is actually the same as the real mil-spec issued watch to the Commando Hubert. Now, finally, I'm sure you're wondering whether, okay, which version it is. Is it an MN22 or is it an MN21? So I will make the reveal right now and remove the strap. And as you can see, this is an MN21. So why did I go for an MN21 and how did I get it? Well, I was trying at first to get an MN22 at retail, and I went to several ADs here in Hong Kong, and I put my name even, as I said, when my friend bought the Black Bay 58. And I told them that I was, online either to get a FXD or possibly the Black Bay Pro. And of course, they never called me. And of course, the other ADs didn't call me either. So I thought, I have two options here. Either I want to get it at retail, and then I'll get an MN22 or possibly an MN23. Or if I pay over retail and I want to get it right now, then I want an MN21. I do not want to pay over retail for an MN22 or 23. Then I'll just wait. So in the end, yes, I had to bite the bullet and I had to pay over retail to buy an MN21 on the gray market. So how much did I pay over retail? Quite a bit, unfortunately. I know ID guy say he paid 250 pounds over retail for his MN22, and I paid $1,000 over retail to get the MN21. So I know that's a lot of money, but to me, I thought, either I get the MN21 and I pay over, or I'll just wait for a regular version, and then I don't know when I'll get it. So there it is, an MN21. Hopefully that'll keep its value. Otherwise, that was a lot of money for a special number. Now let's talk about what's good about this watch, and there's a lot of it. So in no particular order, I think for me number one is how this watch wears. To me, it wears like a dream. I love how this thing wears, and I can wear it all day without even thinking about it, which is very rare for me because usually I will take the watch off, especially when I type at work at a keyboard. Do not be afraid by the official 52 lug to lug, because the 52 is only at the middle of the fixed bars, but actually the real lug to lug, as far as you're concerned when you're wearing it, is 50, which is the same as my AWC Spitfire. So 50, wears well on my wrist. So for comparison, let's look at the Longines Legend Diver, which is the true 52mm lug to lug. And when I wear the Longines Legend Diver, I don't know if it shows on camera, but to me, that one looks and wears much bigger. On my wrist, actually, I feel like it almost wears a little bit too big, but I know it's the look of it, so that's how you wear the Legend Diver. But the FXD wears much more like a 50mm, so I love that. Then there's the thickness. So it's 12.75mm thin or thick, however you want to look at it, versus the Pelagos, the regular one, or the LHD, which is 14.3. So 12.75, you have to add maybe 1 mil for the single pass NATO, so that's 13.5, but still that wears much better. The LHD, or the regular Pelagos, has a very high flank, and with the helium escape valve, I think it accentuates the fact that it looks very tall. But this one actually looks it looks much thinner, and I think the NATO doesn't add anything because it goes into my wrist, and I think it doesn't make it look thicker. Then there's the color. So the blue of the FXD, I think, is much more historically correct to the original Marine Nationale Submariners. I prefer it a lot over the blue Pelagos. For example, it's less aggressive, it's a lot more muted, it's more like a gunmetal blue, there's gray in it, I like it. Also the fact that it's a no date. So that's a big thing for me. I know we can debate date, no date, forever. I love the fact that it's so clean, so symmetrical. It's a watch, with a purpose. Then there's the movement. So the movement accuracy, this one is not the master chronometer, unfortunately, but it is better than COSC. So COSC is -4 + 6, and this one is -2 + 4 at the request of the Marine Nationale. So not quite master chronometer, but better than a regular COSC. Then there's the weight of it. So the head of the watch itself is only 72 grams. That's very light. Now, I don't know how much the NATO adds to it. I'm guessing not much, maybe 10 grams or so. But altogether, this is the most comfortable watch I have. I think it's even more comfortable than my IWC Spitfire on the leather. And I've said before that it was very comfortable, more than on a bracelet. This watch is something that even I think I could sleep in. I don't sleep in my watches, but this one is so comfortable that I put it in the morning, I forget that I have it on. I even keep it on when I type at the keyboard because, there's no worry about scratching the clasp. And I keep it all the way till dinner, after dinner, and I just take it off before I go to sleep. But it's very, very comfortable. Also, that NATO strap that I had a lot of reservations before actually wearing it, I was concerned that I wouldn't like it. I don't like NATOs usually. You know, I thought this is just gonna be a piece of fabric, like I'm gonna just put that in the box and change it. But I know people rave about Tudor straps, textile straps, and I have to agree. I was worried that it would be very kind of rough and that it would create a rash on my wrist and that it would not be comfortable and it will scratch, etc. But not at all. It's super, super comfortable, and I think this thing is indestructible. And the Velcro, I've read online people saying, oh, you know, over time it won't be so adhesive. I have no problem with the Velcro. It really sticks like all the way to the end. It doesn't stick out. So let me show you how it wears on my wrist, and it fits perfectly actually my 6.75 inch wrist. So this is how it wears on my 6.75 or 17 centimeter wrist. So as you can see, the tongue, see, does not stick out much at all. It doesn't stick out at all actually. So when I take it off, see, I take it off here. It's infinitely adjustable. So during the day, especially in Hong Kong when it's hot and humid or sticky or whatever, I don't just have like 3 or 4 or 5 macro adjust. This one I can adjust it however tight or loose I want. And when I put it here, see, I was worried that the strap would be too long and that I would have this tongue like sticking out here and that it would be very ugly. And I was actually thinking about you know, ordering a shorter strap from Tudor, and it cost £140 from what I've seen on What You Seek, and so I had to add that to the cost. But in the end, see, the stock strap that came with it, if I wear my watch tight enough, like you know, inside, or if it's not humid, then it's perfect. Love it. Now in this section, let's talk about a few things that maybe did not impress me as much as I was expecting. So maybe my expectations were too high. Maybe I have to manage my expectations because it's Tudor, I don't know. So I'm not saying it's bad. I don't want to call this section, you know, bad, but it's just things that I would like maybe to tweak a little bit or change a little bit, or I would have wished that it was a little better. So number one is actually the bezel, believe it or not. So this watch has a 120 click bezel. So this is not a dive watch. This is an underwater navigation watch. Okay, so the bezel move in both directions, which is why it is not ISO certified as a dive watch. And the bezel action is good. I mean, it's very solid. There is no backplay at all whatsoever. So it is good. I don't know if you can hear the action here. I'm going to put it closer to the mic for you to listen to it. Okay, so hopefully you heard that. So I'm not saying it's bad, it's just two things. When I compare it to the action of the bezel from the regular Pelagos in the LHD, which I have tried at the AD several times, in my mind, maybe it's my memory playing a trick on me, but in my mind I think I preferred the 60-click bezel action of the regular Pelagos. So I have my friend's Black Bay 58 here, which also has a 60-click bezel. So let's try this one instead. This one is much louder, and this one is kind of like an automatic gun or something. It has a different feel, a different sound to it. Let me put it to the mic again. Okay, and now compare it again with the FXD. See, it is different, and I know that 120 clicks supposedly should be better than 60 click, but I kind of feel like I prefer the 60 click of the 58. There's also another thing, is when you turn it in the clockwise direction, to me it sounds different. So it is very difficult to hear the difference. Maybe it's just me, or maybe it's just this particular unit, but to me they do not sound the same. So let's listen to it. Counterclockwise, and now clockwise. Okay, maybe it's just in my head, but hopefully if you heard that, it's just that I was expecting the bezel, I guess, to be just as good as the regular Pelagos, and to me, at least, somehow it is not. It's not a bad bezel, it's good, but it's the feel that is different. Another aspect to me is the crown action. So again, I'm very particular about the crown action, and I like a certain feel in my crowns when I wind the watch. I think, which is why it would be difficult for me to have a quartz watch, because I like to interact with the watch and wind it. And I think the feel when you wind the watch is quite important. So this is my first Tudor, okay? So I don't know what I was expecting, but I guess I was expecting something different. Now, the crown action is smooth. ID Guy also said, you know, it's buttery smooth. Yes, maybe, but to me, it feels a bit kind of dry, if that makes any sense. I think the best winding action that I have is my Rolex Stages 2 and also my IWC Spitfire, which I think actually is the best. Is the best feeling when I wind that watch. Now the Legend Diver, of course, has a 2824 in it, so this one is more like I don't know. I don't know. When I wind it, I don't feel the same pleasure, and I kind of feel like the FXD is somewhere in between. Yes, it's better than the 2824, but to me it's not as good as the Rolex or the IWC. And I don't think this is just this watch, because when I wind the Black Bay 58, it's the same thing. Actually, I find the Black Bay 58 is worse than the FXD. I do not like the winding action on the Black Bay 58. This watch, again, is pretty new, right? It was bought in May. We're now in August 7 at the time of filming this video. So this is a new watch. But when I wind it, I don't really enjoy the feeling of winding this watch. So the FXD is better, but I guess I was expecting more of a Rolex feel to it. Now I understand that it's not the same movement, so it's not the same winding action. Now let's talk about the second strap that this watch comes with, and this is the rubber strap. So the rubber strap is definitely not as popular as the NATO strap. If you go online and you read what you seek, you watch the video, it seems like it's getting a lot of hate. A lot of people do not like this one. They just leave it in the box. They don't even wear it. I think there's good and bad about this strap. What's good about it, first, the texture. It feels like a textile strap, even though it's rubber. And I know it is interwoven with fiberglass, so it is very strong and it will probably age very well. And also the fact that it's super thin. It is just as thin as the NATO, so it doesn't add a lot of thickness. And it is very flexible. I mean, if I compare this with my Sumo here, which is on vulcanized rubber strap, I mean, look at this one. This one is super rigid, okay? It's quite hard, actually. I have to like put a lot of pressure to do this, which is why this watch actually on the rubber strap to me is not super comfortable, because it's so rigid, whereas this one is super flexible. Now, what's not good about this is when you wear it. I'll superimpose some video here. You can see when I wear it on my wrist, it leaves a gap between, you know, the head of the watch and then your wrist. So here in Hong Kong, that might be a good thing, because it will aerate more and it will be, you know, it's better in hot and sticky weather. But I understand that it's not necessarily a super good look, and I think that's why people don't like it. The other thing to me is the color. I don't think this blue is the color they should have gone with. A lot of people change their strap for like a gunmetal gray or some sort of gray strap. I've seen a lot of people have bought like Bark and Jack strap or strap Taylor kind of NATOs, and I think it looks much nicer. So since they already gave a blue NATO, I think they should have gone with a gray rubber strap. So the color to me is also a mistake, and they could tweak that, or at least sell another one. So in conclusion, I love this watch. I think it's such a classic Tudor look. When you think of Tudor, you think of the Tudor Submariner, you think of the snowflake hands and the square indices, you think about the association with the Marine Nationale, and then you think about the Tudor blue. This watch has all of that. So whether it was a true collaboration, you know, and a real mil-spec watch, or whether it's more of a commercial collaboration, at the end of it, I don't care, because it's really a classic Tudor watch. It's gonna look good for a long time. I think it's gonna stay in my collection for a long time, because I don't see myself getting tired of it, because it's so simple, right, and so classic. Also, it's gonna be a strap monster. I'm still gonna wear it on this original Tudor strap, but I'm also going to get, I think, a real Marine Nationale parachute, you know, green strap, like they used to wear, you know, in the 70s and 80s. And I'm gonna get some sort of a gunmetal gray or gray NATO from some place. I think, you know, you can just change the strap and change the look of this watch. So, you know, whether it was worth paying over retail for an MN21, only time will tell. We'll see. If you are patient, I suggest you just wait for an MN22 or 23 if you don't care about the number in the back. But I will highly recommend this watch as a very good summer watch, very good daily driver, because it's so light and so comfortable. So I hope you find this useful. As also, I'm getting tired. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to ask yourself what makes you tick, and I'll see you in the next one.